What's up guys, Madness here with yet another Diablo 3 exploit. This exploit was one that I was going to reveal about a week ago, and it wasn't until I had a discussion on Twitter with someone about what ruined Diablo 3, the difference between botters and exploiters, that I decided ultimately to do this commentary. And I felt it would be valuable for me to voice my opinions on the difference between botters and exploiters, and really why I feel that exploiting is far worse than botting. Truly, whenever I think of botting, I think of an automated system that's meant to collect gold and/or items for you while you're physically not at the computer. Realistically speaking, though, the idea of botting can only be present if the game fundamentally allows it. Using Diablo 3 as an example, the captain's chest found within all the acts next to the blacksmith yields a good amount of gold, and it can be scripted within just a few clicks over the course of a night. Meanwhile, that player could be asleep or doing other things and be collecting hundreds of thousands of gold per hour. In the most ideal situations, this is a bannable offense. But in the case of exploits, it's a lot harder to track down players actually breaking a code of conduct, especially if it's something that was misprogrammed in the code by the developers. In the case of today's exploit, I'm going to show you how just combining a couple wizard spells makes any content in this game achievable. In the background I have gameplay of my wizard clearing Inferno Pony level all by myself. Now this isn't that remarkable of a feat for a lot of people, and a lot of people might be rolling their eyes, so what? But it is quite remarkable when you take into account that all the gear that I'm wearing can be purchased with just a couple 100,000 gold. The secret of me being able to do this level all lies in the combination of spells that I'm abusing. There are 4 main spells that you absolutely have to use. There's one tangible one that you can optionally use, and then there's one that you can mess around with, which I very rarely use, and I have messed around with other different builds. The first main spell that you want to use is Energy Twister with Wicked Wind Rune. It makes the Energy Twister stationary. The next move is Frost Nova, and I use the rune modification Cold Snap, which lowers the cooldowns of Frost Nova. The third spell is Diamond Skin with Crystal Shell, which increases the number of damage you absorb. And the fourth spell is Explosive Blast with Short Fuse, which removes the delay of the spell cast. Of your passives, an absolutely mandatory passive that you must have is Critical Mass. It will regain all of your cooldowns on critical hits. The other 2 passives are entirely optional. I use Astral Presence, which increases my Arcane Power regeneration, and Galvanizing Wind, which increases my life regeneration, which ultimately stops me from dying from reflect damage. Like I said before, the gear dependency for this build is entirely lenient. All you need to do is stack critical hit chance. From then on, it's up to you what you want to focus on. If you're dying too much, focus on resistances. If you need to do more damage, stack intelligence and critical hit damage. I personally also like getting items with arcane power on crit, which allows me to maintain a high level of arcane power and maintain my spell casts. And speaking of spellcasts, this build is actually fairly self-explanatory. If you've been watching the video while I've been talking, you'll notice that on my mage I just run into the middle of groups, freeze, and spam these buttons like crazy. As long as you throw down a couple tornadoes on something and maintain crits, your spells will never have a cooldown and you'll never run out of arcane power. And you'll never die because Diamond Skin is perpetually always up. The only elite groups that you will have problems with are elites that have shielding, that's including invulnerable minions, because you're not hitting nearly as many guys at once, therefore not critting as often as you should have. Otherwise, as long as your resistances are fine, you should have no problem with any of the elemental enchanted elites in this game. Using this build jump-started me through Act 3 and 4 of Inferno. I was able to solo Diablo in Inferno, and I can clear ponies in 15 minutes. I've gained millions upon millions of gold in this game, and I have lost interest in it because it has become too easy. And with every patch that has gone by that has ignored balancing this build, I'm fully convinced that this isn't really an exploit, but something that actually Blizzard intended on doing. And if that's the case, I highly suggest all of you roll a wizard and start abusing this mechanic to its fullest. Peace, guys.